Hey guys, what's up? It's Ripe again. In today's video, my cheating ex-partner got pregnant while having an affair. She then demands I pay child support for a kid that is not mine and even says that I must give her my entire property. Her entitlement is off the charts and I honestly don't know what to do. Here is what happened. Let's dive right into the story. So this happened when I was like 18 and I still worked at Subway, so it's a little old, but this incident will stay always with me. So I used to work at Subway and we had this one lady who would come in like once a week and claim that we messed up her order and demand a free sandwich. Since it is fast food, we all know the age-old saying, the customer is always right, in case you did not know. But I did not really start to pick up on this happening with her specifically until maybe the third time she did it. So anyways, in the middle of a Sunday lunch rush, this woman comes in and orders 5 footlongs. Fine, great, no biggie, but she was being needlessly complicated with her orders. Like, she would ask for one sandwich and then take it back mid-order and say that she wanted something else, and she did this for every sub. I recognized her at this point, and whilst she was being difficult, she was not trying to get anything for free, so whatever. We ring up her order, take her payment, and she is on her way. 3 days later, while I was closing the store with my buddy Pablo, not real name, we get a phone call. Pablo answers. Pablo was on the phone for like 10 to 15 minutes, and by the time the call ended, I asked him what that was all about. Pablo tells me some lady says that she came in and we got all of her sandwiches wrong, and she now wanted free sandwiches to make up for it. Right when he told me that, I already knew who he was talking about, so I asked him what he told her. Well, she wouldn't stop talking, and every time I told her we couldn't do that, she would just keep insisting, so I told her I would just pay for it out of my own pocket. And to be honest, this really pissed me off. Pablo is a bit of a pushover, but our store was also super strict and monitored the cameras hard, and if we did not give them enough of a good reason for giving away free stuff, especially 5 sandwiches, it meant automatic termination. I told Pablo to wait in the back when she came because I was gonna deal with it. Anyways, she comes walking in and looks me in the eyes and automatically knew she was screwed. I don't know how to explain it, but you can definitely tell her whole demeanor changed once she realized that I knew what was going on, and it was even more obvious when she asked for my buddy and said that he was gonna take care of the sandwiches because we messed them up. Ma'am, I was the one who made you those sandwiches on Sunday, and I know we did not mess them up because you asked us to remake them so many times that I remember specifically asking you if everything was good a few times before we wrapped them up and sold them to you. Yeah, but this Pablo guy said that he was gonna comp them. This is ridiculous. You guys messed up my order, so you owe me those free sandwiches. Pablo was not here on Sunday and he was not gonna comp them, he was gonna pay for them out of his own pocket, and I'm not gonna let him do that. Listen, Karen, we did not mess up your sandwiches. You come in here every single week claiming that we mess up your orders, and I have taken notice of it. I would be more than happy to make your sandwiches, but they are not gonna be free. What do you mean they're not gonna be free? I have seen Subways at Valero do a better job than you guys have because you guys always mess up my sandwiches. Screw this place, I'm gonna call HQ and get you fired. My husband is a lawyer and we are gonna sue you. Okay ma'am, whatever you gotta do, but I'm not giving you a free sandwich. She got really mad and stormed off in her very expensive SUV. This is one of the first experiences with these kinds of people that I ever had, and I could not believe how entitled she really was. The worst part is they actually had me on the chopping block the next day, and I got told I was gonna get fired over the incident, so I just quit. They then rehired me 3 months later, and she came in once afterwards, saw me, and then promptly never came back. Good riddance. This story is titled, Cheating Ex Demands I Pay Child Support for a Kid She Had with Her Affair, Insists that I Must Give Her My House. I have often wondered what goes through people's minds when they do something incredibly bizarre. At what point during their process did they think it was a good idea to do something that could potentially ruin their or someone else's life? I have an ex who was the epitome of crazy, or at the very least the definition of someone who does not consider the consequences before conducting herself. For instance, she refused contraceptives because her family is Catholic. No condoms, pills or anything. This is coming from someone who regularly takes drugs when out partying. During the years we were together, we had more than a couple pregnancy scares, so much so that I decided to take action and got a vasectomy. Bold decision, I know, but I saw no other way around it. I did not tell her that because I knew that my life would be forfeit if I did. You may think that I am the bad person here, but the whole reason we never had a pregnancy go full term was because the woman I was dating loved to party, full-on class A's and alcohol, dancing until the sun came up and then went off to after parties. We used to party together pretty much every other day for years. We were having a good time together, but there came a point where I started to feel like we needed to move on to the next step of our relationship and then settle down. She was having none of it, and I started to think that she was an alcoholic and drug abuser. I was not gonna tell her that she needed to get help. I valued my life too much. I decided to stop partying and she would happily head on out for her girly nights on the town. It was about this time that we started getting the pregnancy scares. They never lasted past a couple months and I kept telling her that it was probably all the drugs she was taking. Not long after, I got the operation as I could not keep going through that emotional hardship anymore, and my heart goes out to everyone that has. If you know what I mean, it's not a nice feeling, especially when it keeps happening and you cannot help but feel that there's something wrong with you. Soon after I got the operation done, about a year or so, she comes up to me with another one of these clear blue pregnancy tests and told me that she was gonna do her best this time. It was hard to take her seriously when I could smell the alcohol on her breath. Now, I knew the vasectomy worked because I did the 16-week and the 20-week follow-up and I was certified sterile. I told her this and she flew off the handle so hard for keeping this a secret from her. I told her that her cheating on me was far worse. I am almost certain that I never got her pregnant in the first place. Naturally, we broke up, but that was not the end of it. I had a house that I had inherited from my great-granddad. Up until recently, my grandparents had been living there. When my granddad passed away, my grandma decided to move to a community so that she would not have to feel alone. I told her she didn't have to move out, but she insisted and said that she didn't want to get in the way of my life. Me and the ex had been living in the house together for a little while, about the time of the first pregnancy. When we broke up, she moved back to her own place naturally. I thought things had gone their separate paths and I started to date another woman, and my ex went off and had the baby. I know because the party boy she had the baby with actually goes to my gym. We bumped into one another at the bench press. It turns out he's actually a fairly decent guy. I bring this up because my ex decided that our years of dysfunctional relationship meant that she was entitled to the house and on top of that, alimony. I don't know why, but my guess was that she was trying to get free money to fund her partying. She would often come by the house banging on the door and demanding that she gets what she is owed. If I was not such a polite person, what she is owed would have been nothing more than a slap on the face. Seriously, more than once I had to call the police, so much so that I was now on first-name terms with the officers. There was one incident where I caught her trying to break in. I don't think she realized that I was in, as she was less than subtle about the attempt, literally throwing a brick through my back window. I caught her trying to find the lock to let herself in. A row ensued through the window, and when I threatened to call the police to have her done for breaking and entering, she decided to turn the tables and called the police on myself. I was stunned to silence and let her carry on. When the officers came by, I was unlucky enough to have a couple that had not come to the house before and so were unfamiliar with the dynamic. The ex immediately starts talking to them and told them that I was refusing to let her back into her house and that I was squatting. Eventually, the two officers were permitted past my ex and they knocked on the door. I let them in and slammed the door in my ex's face. I then proceeded to tell the officers what was really going on. I told them about the regular officers and that they were able to corroborate my story as to who really owned the house. They took my ex away down to the station. They asked me if I wanted to press charges and I told them that I just want her to stay away from me and to get cleaned up. She got a cease and desist and I thought that would be the end of it. It certainly seemed like she finally got the message until several months later when I was coming home from work and found that my door was wide open. A random station wagon was parked in my driveway. It was full of all of my stuff. TV, furniture, game consoles, laptops and other such devices. My ex came out carrying a bag filled with my grooming stuff from the bathroom. She blanked me and dumped my stuff in the car. I tried to stop her, at which point she got aggressive and declared that she was only taking what she was owed. Actually, I owed her nothing from the years we were together. If anything, that cheating harlot owed me. I wasted no time and called the police. Fortunately, this time, the regular officers showed up and there was no need to waste hours explaining what was going on. I knew that she did not have a leg to stand on. I went with the officers to the station as I told them that I wanted to press charges on her. It only took a couple of months. She was eventually tried for burglary and larceny, and she went off to county jail and was finally able to get the help she so needed for so long. I even offered myself up to be her sponsor. Despite everything, I wish she wasn't so crazy and hope that distancing herself from the drink and drugs, she will reveal herself to be a decent person. As for the guy that was unlucky enough to have a child with her, we actually kept in touch and I helped him out as best as I could. It's not easy being a single parent and I feel somewhat responsible for his situation. It also helps that I am now with a woman who had a baby of her own and for similar reasons split from her abusive husband. Together, we make up a very different and rudimentary family, but at least the kids get a fair shot at a decent life. And the next one is titled, Christmas Got Ruined. Back in 2K4, I worked at the front desk for a large mountain resort. 90% of the properties on the mountain were under our umbrella and our front desk was open 24 hours. The other 10% were part of a different resort entirely, but since it was small, they only had employees on site from 8 to 6 and calls to their front desk would reroute to hours after hours in case there was an emergency situation. I was 21 years old, making $7 whole an hour and working a 12-hour shift on Christmas Day because the resort was extra busy for the holidays and anyone who refused to work on Christmas was fired. It was the first time in my life that I had not spent Christmas with my family and I spent the day getting barked at by entitled vacationers, so I was in a great mood already. Then at about 11 PM, I answered a call coming from the other resort. Me, resort, this is OP, how may I help you? Choosing beggar, we did not get new towels today. Me, I'm sorry but we don't do that. It's a condo, so you're basically renting an apartment for the week. Housekeeping only comes between guests unless you make a special request. CB, are you kidding? We are supposed to use the same towels for a week? Me, yes. And honestly, who does not reuse towels? Did they all wipe their butts with them? CB, that's disgusting. We have already used them. They are dirty. Have housekeeping bring us new ones. Me, I'm sorry, housekeeping has gone home for the day. I don't even work for your resort. Their offices are all closed for the evening and we only take their calls in case of emergency. I cannot get any towels to you. You will have to use the ones you have for now. CB, but we need clean towels now. This is an emergency. Me, I'm not gonna wake up your resort's manager on Christmas because of your towels. There is a washer/dryer in your condo if the towels are too dirty for you to reuse. CB, how dare you? We are on vacation. We don't do laundry. Me, well, I'm sorry, that's not what you wanted to hear then. CB, you have ruined Christmas. Me, great, have a nice night. Happy holidays. And the next one is titled, Entitled Relatives. This happened 1 month ago, but only now I managed to be fine. My husband passed away 37 days ago from cancer. He did not have a good relationship with the family as we are a homosexual couple, but he came from a wealthy family and the house we lived in was a gift from his parents before he came out. We dated for 3 years until we discovered the cancer and that it was already very aggressive and in the terminal phase, and then we got married because it was our dream. And by the way, Ripe Star, sorry if you can hear a dog barking in the background. That is unfortunately just the neighbor dog getting neglected by his owners. Very sad if you ask me. Anyway, it was something very rushed and we even tried to invite their parents and the answer was no. Because of this, knowing the nature of his parents, he asked me to make it a specific type of civil marriage so that I would be entitled to everything before and after the wedding. If it was another, the parents would be entitled to things in his name acquired before marriage. This is protected by law and not illegal. The party was wonderful and for just a few people, around 10. My sweet husband survived for 9 months, sorry confused here, and he finally had his well-deserved rest. I was numb. Despite having prepared for months for this moment, I could not even stay at the house. My mother took me to sleep at her house for a few days. I ended up getting a notification from the home security system 6 days after all, and when I went to see the cameras, my husband's entire family was there with a big truckload of moves. His sister he trusted had a spare key because she took care of our animals many times while we were traveling and they used it. I went there and I admit that I blew up, cursed even the 10th generation of the family and even more so my SIL, aka sister-in-law. They started to say that they were entitled to everything because the house and furniture were all acquired before the marriage and that I should not act surprised if by law they can, and that after resolving in court they would see about it, but until then they would keep it so I don't sell anything. I cursed even more and said that they had no right because my husband knew very well how they were and assured me that everything went to me. I talked about the civil marriage type. They were surprised and started to say that this is not correct because at least the house was theirs as it was given as a gift, but then they left after I said I would call the police if they did not leave and kept harassing me about the matter. I had to swap numbers because of several numbers saying that I am an opportunistic gold digger and that I should be aware that this house truly does not belong to me. I know I am protected by law, but sometimes I wonder if I should not give up my house for peace. Am I the jerk here? And yeah, Ripe Stars, I will relay this question to you. Do you think that OP is the a-hole here or not? Either way, a comment on Reddit said, not the a-hole, should have called the police when the alarm went off and had them arrested for burglary. Snotty people cannot handle the whole arrest process. Comment number 2, not the a-hole. In fact, you should have called the cops for theft and trespassing immediately if you know the law is on your side. Never let them hold onto something for safekeeping either. You probably don't have an itemized list of everything in the house, so how would you even know if everything was properly returned? The next one is titled Military School Payback. The following happened in the late 60s. I was in a military school in the Midwest. The main barracks was a 3-story affair with Company A on the first floor, B Company on the second, and HQ Company, where I was, on the third floor. The building was originally built around 1890 or so, with an addition dating from the late 1940s. As such, the wiring for the PA system and emergency lighting in the hallways was exposed, generally running where the walls met the 12-foot high ceiling. I don't recall the exact dispute that set this in motion, but the result was that HQ Company had gotten the short end of the stick due to the actions of B Company. Revenge was in order and a cunning plan was devised. A friend and I located the wire run for the PA speakers for the second floor and found a point we could access them from the main stairwell. It was late February/early March in the Midwest with a cold front coming through, 20 to 25 miles per hour winds, about 15 degrees Fahrenheit outside, and nothing between there and the Arctic but a few barbed wire fences. At about 3 AM, we took a length of speaker wire, connected one end to a pair of sewing needles and the other to the output of a rather powerful amplifier. The needles were then poked through the insulation of the PA wiring. I had a record containing all the standard army bugle calls and we put that on the turntable. At 3:05, B Company was awakened by first call. 45 seconds later, we played formation call and then yanked the needles from the PA wiring and went to the window to watch the fun. B Company was in the formation area, freezing their butts off and thoroughly confused. To characterize their appearance as motley would be kind. By 3:30 AM, the faculty OOD, cadet duty NCO and battalion bugler had been rudely awakened. Protests from the duty NCO and bugler that they didn't know anything were finally accepted, and the investigation started. Fortunately, it quickly stalled when no one could find any means of explaining how it was done, much less who did it. Questioning of the usual suspects was fruitless. The episode then faded into the school's oral legends passed on from one class to the next. Oh yes, I still have the record album. And with this, we have reached the end of the video. However, I want to ask you for a favor. If you have watched until here, please check out my new channel called The Readers, where I and other voice actors post daily stories that you will very much enjoy. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you again tomorrow.